Good morning. Welcome to the 7th annual State of Small Business in Chatham County Symposium. What a fabulous way to celebrate Small Business Week. I hope you all know that this week is Small Business Week. You know that? I'm Michael Siegel. I am the chair of the Savannah chapter of SCORE. SCORE is the nation's largest provider of free business mentoring services and education for small businesses. We're excited to be part of this amazing event and to do our part to help the growth of Chatham County's small business community. Each year, we invite experts to present local business trends that will help small businesses make intelligent decisions about their business and capitalize on emerging opportunities. This year, we have 5 outstanding speakers. Each speaker will talk about a key business trend that is impacting our business community. I'm sure you will find the information invaluable. After the reports are given, Dr. Michael Thoma, the Callaway Professor of Economics at Georgia Southern University, will head up a roundtable discussion with our panelists and address your questions. Regarding your questions, you'll see on your tables you have flyers that have a number that you can use to text questions to the panel. You can also write your questions on the index cards that have been provided as well. I would now like to welcome to the podium the Honorable Eddie DeLoach, Mayor of Savannah, to welcome the small business community. And for those of you that don't know, Mayor DeLoach is also a small business owner. Mayor?
Well, 1984, I was working for a major company, and Kaiser Chemical Company, located here. Excited, loved my company, working there, having a great time. Decided I needed to be a small business. Go in. I wanted the opportunity. So, lo and behold, I called my dad. I said, "Dad, I'm going to go in business." He says, "Son, you've got a great company there. They'll take care of you. Why in the world would you leave with a 2-year-old and a 1-month-old to go in business?" I said, "Dad, it's just something I need to do." How many of y'all felt that way? Is it something you needed to do? No matter where you were working, didn't matter. That's that feeling I had back in 1984. And you know, I still have that feeling today. And I think that's what small business is all about. It's that itch to have that opportunity to maybe make it and maybe not. Done both. I've been there, done that. You know, all excited. Thought I had to think, this is it. This is my opportunity. Go over that hill and fall off like a cliff. But then get back up and go again. And now I got my son coming behind me, and he's just like a cowboy, just like me. Scares me to death. I understand what my dad was going through whenever he saw me load up all my family, move from North Carolina back home to start a business, and I've been at it ever since. But small business is where it's at. Small business is where the energy of a community comes from. All the restaurants and all these different sales locations and all these different retail markets, you know, you go in, you get a different feel from everybody. Small business is it. 80% of what we do in the state of, it is the state of Chatham County, but in the state and in Chatham County. But in reality, 80% of the, things that happen come from small business. I do appreciate the large business. I do a lot of business with large businesses and glad to have them. And I appreciate everybody that runs all those. And I appreciate, for instance, we got Wells Fargo here today. If they came and asked me to be able to do one of these events, there is no way under the sun I could do one of these events, pay for it. So I do appreciate all the large companies that are here that do participate, and we have to have them to make our economy go. But we are here today to talk about the cowboys and the cowgirls that are out there every day. And I started out in 1984. I was 30 years old, and there was nothing I couldn't do. Well, I'm 67 now, gonna be 67 in May, and I say, maybe there's some things I can't do, but I'll try them anyway. We're here to celebrate you today. We're here to celebrate the energy that's in this room, that somebody got up, like I get up at 6:30 in the morning, go see that my company get started, and then I get back up and go do whatever I'm gonna do from there. And then I go in at night about 8:30 or 9 o'clock. But that's just life. God is fun, isn't it? Is it not just a joy? Even when you look, well, I won't say it even when you're losing money, because I've done that. But isn't it a joy? I'm welcoming you here today, and I want you to go out of here today with the energy that you had the first day you started business. And greet the person you see next in line and say, God, isn't it good to be alive today? Haven't we been blessed in this community? Haven't we been blessed in this state, in this nation, in this world? We have so many things to be thankful for. We have so many opportunities as small business people. Cowboys, cowgirls. Enjoy y'all's life. Thank y'all for being here. I'm excited about small business. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Mayor. We also want to recognize the other elected officials that are here in the audience today. We're proud to have them with us. Bill Durrance, Helen Stone, James Holmes, Jay Jones, Julian Miller, and Dr. Estella Shabazz. Would you please stand so we can recognize and thank you? We truly appreciate what all of you do to keep Savannah being a thriving and supportive small business community. I'd now like to invite to the podium Rule Joyner, an appointee to Governor Kemp's Georgians First Commission. Rule?
I know we got a very busy morning, so I will make it brief. The governor, as soon as he took his oath of office at McCamish Arena, he stepped off of the stage and signed his very first executive order. The symbolism of all this was it wasn't his second, it wasn't his third, it wasn't his fourth. It was his first executive order to make Georgia the #1 state for small business. Not only did he sign the front of checks, but he also signed the back of them, and he didn't forget it. So he put together a commission of 18 people, of small business people, to figure out what needed to be done. He wanted to remove bureaucracy, whether it was, just onerous rules that get in the way of being able to do business, to fees, to whatever it was. It had to make sense. He had the empathy and he had the foresight to remember what it was and to work for what Mayor Deloach was just speaking about. It is the cowboys and the cowgirls that are out there that are, it's me and you. It is that 80%. So within this commission, we're supposed to do this stuff. We've got a year to figure it out. We're going to try to put together a meeting here in Savannah, probably be around September. I may be getting a little bit ahead of myself now. But we'll be working with the Chamber, with Buy Local, TLC, bringing everyone together, and not just Chatham County, but Bullitt County, our region, because we do believe in regionalism, and by removing those silos and working together, we're going to make this the #1 state for small business. So thank y'all, and I'll look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you, Rule. There are definitely a lot of exciting things going on for business in Georgia. Please extend our thanks to the governor. Now, I would like to thank our two presenting sponsors, Best Business Brokers and Wells Fargo. Your generous support is what is allowing us to host this event and to support the continuing growth of our small business community. Best Business Brokers, B3, helps people buy and sell businesses and commercial real estate in Georgia and in South Carolina. At this time, I'd like to invite to the podium Dean Burnett, B3 Managing Broker, who is also one of our expert speakers, to say a few words about their partnership. Dean?
Mayor Deloach, we didn't talk before this event, but he was talking about cowboys and Indians, and anybody knows me knows I love a good rodeo. And having been in business now for over 30 years, I've been to a few rodeos. Sometimes being a business owner, it's like riding a bull. And I'm here because I'm really passionate about being in business. I'm passionate about the Savannah area business community and how much interaction I've had with them through the years, and particularly our partnership with the SBDC, with the SCORE guys, my mentor standing right behind me, one of them, and with our lenders in the area. It's a good partnership. The businesses, even our competitors, we have good relationships. It's a great place and a great time to be in business today. We're glad to be here.
Thanks, Dean. Wells Fargo's vision is to satisfy their customers' financial needs and help them succeed. They support literally thousands of small businesses throughout the country, and we're very grateful for the generous support of this event. Please welcome Todd Householder, Wells Fargo's Savannah Central District Manager.
Good morning, everyone. I feel like I've made it because I'm following somebody from the governor's office and then after the mayor. So from a business standpoint, I don't know where I can go after here. But it is my pleasure to be here and represent Wells Fargo, and we have some other representatives out in our audience. So like I said, my name is Todd Householder. I'm a district manager for Wells Fargo. I've been a district manager since 2002, but I've been with Wells Fargo since 2006. And since 2006, at least when I joined it, I know, but way before that, small business has been a huge focus for Wells Fargo. It's something that we take pride in, of being able to help our local small businesses within the community. And we have a lot of things that we're excited about. So with Wells Fargo being here, we celebrate small businesses all year long. We actually have a small business campaign that we start in the month of April, and it goes through June. And a lot of that is just to thank our small businesses for what they do, just to let them know with Wells Fargo how we can help support them in any manner, whether that's advice or helping grow the business. That's really why we're here. We want to support you guys. We talk about cowboys and cowgirls, and I don't know what you call us, but we want to be there. We want to be, I guess, that area where you guys come to when you have those questions. When we talk a little bit about statistics for small businesses creates about 2/3 of every new job in the United States, and more about 50% of Americans either own or work for a small business, and that's according to the U.S. SBA National Small Business Week. I get to hear great stories of small business customers around their hard work, their achievement, their perseverance. Two this morning, one with Jeff Kessler. I was talking with him earlier, kind of started out in 1971. He's still going strong. We talked a little bit about how great he is in golf, but it has a lot to do with small businesses in the community. And Missy Jones, who I know really well, who's starting her business coming up in April in Pooler. So the great stories that we get to hear, that's why we're here. That's what we love to do. We want to be a part of the small business. We want to help them run. We want to help them succeed. So in order for that to happen, we provide a free service, which is a Wells Fargo Work for Small Business website where anybody can go, whether you're a customer of Wells Fargo or not. That provides a ton of information on many, many things to help you from seeking advice, how to run your business, how do you start your business, how do you get the business name, where do you go to do that. It's just a really nice website with a ton of information, and we encourage you during some of the time is to talk with some of the small business advocates that we have out here within at the tables to be able to help you answer some of those questions. But before I go, I want to say that, as far as Wells Fargo, we want to make sure we play a huge role with the small business of Chatham County. We are looking beyond today, making important decisions for the betterment of the county and the economy. And on behalf of Wells Fargo, we want to thank you for all that you do. And before I step back, I would like for all of our Wells Fargo representatives kind of stand up so you can see who they are. They were from all of our branches. Please stand up. Thank you. These guys are the brightest of the brightest. That's why we have them here, to be able to help you. So on behalf of Wells Fargo, thank you. And good luck with your business. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Todd. Let's have one more round of applause for our presenting sponsors, Wells Fargo and Best Business Brokers. Next, we'd like to thank the following small business ambassadors for assisting and supporting this conference. Please stand when we call your organization, but please hold your applause until everyone has stood up. Savannah Score. Hi. And we have several other folks. The Creative Coast and CEDA, the City of Savannah, the Savannah Area Chamber of Commerce, the Bryan County Chamber of Commerce, University of Georgia Small Business Development Center, Small Business Assistance Corporation, the Savannah Morning News, Joe Marchese of Joe Marchese Construction, Cecilia Turner with Cecilia Russo Marketing, and Marjorie Young with Carriage Trade Public Relations. Thank you. We have one final group that we would like to recognize and thank. Small businesses are often defined as organizations with 50 or fewer employees. If you are an owner or employee of a business that has 50 or fewer employees, please stand. Small businesses like yours are the backbone of our economy. We thank you for what you do and for your contributions to our community. Thank you. I would now like to introduce Joe Marchese and Marjorie Young. I'd like to have them come up to the podium. They will serve as the moderators for our panel. By the way, 7 years ago, Joe and Marjorie founded and presented the very first State of Small Business, launching what has become an amazing annual tradition for our small business community and a very, very unique opportunity for all of us. Please welcome Joe and Marjorie.
We are very excited to see all of you here today, and we really want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. Today we have a panel of experts that will give you information that will allow you to make a decision whether you buy your first Ford F-150 or your first Gulfstream G650. And I hope you all buy Gulfstreams. But today is all about you. So we're here to answer your questions. If you have questions, you can write them on the index cards and hold them up, and someone will come by and grab them. Or you can text them to the number that's on the back of those of the informational brochure, and we'll try to get as many questions answered as we can during the round table.
Okay, a few more rules. We encourage you to use small biz with a Z. SAV19 is the hashtag, because I want you all to take notes on Facebook or any of your social media. If you hear some really good information, make sure you let other small business owners know this information. Also, in the next few days, we're going to be posting a PDF of their actual reports, and you can get them on the SCORE website. And let's see, I want to thank, this is going to be live stream on SCORE's Facebook page. We've got Raz back there live streaming right now, and he just had a brand new baby on Saturday, so thank you for coming to little Charlotte. And I want to thank Ken Slatz with the City of Savannah for filming this event. He will broadcast it on Channel 8 next week, right? Or the week after, okay. Okay, so each speaker will only have 5 minutes. Ted Norris will be our timekeeper, and at 4 minutes you'll raise the yellow flag as a sign that there's 1 minute left. So, y'all ready for the 2019 State of Small Business Reports? Here we go.
So our first speaker today, or our first expert, is going to be Rhett Mouche. Rhett is an associate broker with Caldwell International Savannah, and he is going to talk about commercial real estate trends. With over 40 years of real estate experience, Rhett has been actively involved in some of the region's most prestigious sales of master plan developments, such as Hutchinson Island, Rice Hope Plantation, Chatham Center, and others. I'd like you to please welcome Rhett Mouche.
Thanks, Joe and Marjorie, and thanks for the invitation to speak again. And I suppose that age gives you a little seniority as far as the order of speakers, so I appreciate that too. Looking forward today. I'm going to talk about commercial real estate and the status of different sectors of commercial real estate because it really affects small businesses and all businesses. And it's a pleasure to speak today about those sectors because we're in a great economy. Savannah is booming, and I remember those times a few years ago, when you kind of look for things to say, and a five-minute talk was actually too long to do it. So I'm going to talk about the different sectors of commercial real estate. I'm going to start with the industrial sector. The Port of Savannah is the fastest growing container facility in the country, and if you look at Sunday's paper, that says it all, and you're getting ready to hear the real expert on the port to come up after me, and basically will fill you in more. But the overview of the industrial sector and warehouses is the following. We have approximately 64 million square feet of inventory, with 8 million square feet being added over the last 2 years, and these are approximate numbers, but I think we're pretty close. Other sectors haven't seen anything like this. If you look at the other sectors in other cities, Georgia nationally too. We have 7 million square feet that's currently under construction. And with all the construction that's going on and all the absorption that we've got with this space coming on, we still only have like a 3.8% vacancy. And that's an overall number. Keep in mind we had less than a 1% vacancy about a year ago. And if you can imagine, 1% vacancy in over 60 million square feet of industrial space is practically nothing. So vacancy expected to remain low. The other warehousing properties, industrial properties are going to come on the market. And we've got a strong economy ahead as far as the warehousing industrial market in Savannah. Our retail sector, tourism and population growth have contributed heavily to the expansion of our retail market. And despite the growth of Amazon Prime, there's still strong growth within our traditional real estate market. So if you look at supermarkets, Publix, Kroger, and others, they continue to expand in the suburban areas, and as a result of our population growth and our strong economy. Surge in hospitality, tourism, and the growth of Savannah College of Art and Design really causes expansion in our historic and central business district also. We have about a 5% vacancy in all of our retail sector. And we survey about 13 million square feet. The overall market's about 26 million square feet, and those vacancy factors are still consistent with that. So that tells you a very strong retail market, and of course rates are going up too. Multifamily. There's currently under construction about 2,000 units, and we have about 23,000 apartment units right now. Population growth, keeping those apartment complexes and keeping new construction going very, very strong. Strong growth areas include Port Wentworth, Pooler, and our downtown, our historic district has got a strong demand with the demand for apartments, multifamily. The office sector, and if you've heard me over the last few years, the office sector is always the one that basically I kind of beat up a little bit because we have very little demand in our office sector. Matter of fact, we have less than 15,000 square feet of inventory added to our office sector every year for the last few years. 15,000 feet. Think about the 7 million and the 8 million over the last 2 years. So we have a very weak office market, service industry. And that could be because internet, small companies are basically working out of smaller areas, could contribute to it. But we have about a 10% vacancy with that. What's in the future? Stay tuned. We have some growth areas. We got some different things that are happening that I think will coincide with the growing economy that Savannah has. Keep a lookout on West Bay Street. West Bay Street is a growing corridor. You've got a boulevard that's rapidly emerging out there. I think you get a sense for it. You've got multifamily opportunities, retail, and institutional. It's adjacent to downtown. The Canal District. We have about 40 acres in the Canal District, maybe a little bit more. It is adjacent to downtown. It is where the arena is going to really set a boundary, be a focal point, a destination. So we have the arena that's going to be the drawing card there. opportunity for more multifamily, more hospitality. By the way, we have 28 hotels downtown right now, so we could use a few more hotels, I think you'll agree. But we have that 40 acres. Eastern Wharf, formerly Savannah River Landing, another 40-acre parcel. If you look at those two large parcels adjacent to our downtown, Eastern Wharf is working on phase 1 right now. The townhomes have been completed. If you ride out there, you see some really interesting construction and real estate going there. The commercial real estate sector is getting ready to break ground shortly. So that's, again, hospitality, retail, residential. Lastly, it's not exactly a real estate sector, but it's something that's going to affect our commercial real estate sector. Workforce housing continues to be in strong demand. This was outlined in recent local news, and watch for continuing coverage with workforce housing, especially coming from the city. There's going to be some inclusionary zoning that you may have read about a few days ago that will give incentives to developers to provide more workforce housing. That's my report. Thank you.
Rhett, thank you again. Rhett has been giving this presentation for 7 years, and it's looking really good compared to 7 years ago. Okay, our second presentation is with Lee Beckman of the Georgia Ports Authority in Garden City. Lee will update us on freight shipping trends and the ongoing positive impact the ports are having on Chatham County's economy and small business. Lee has been the manager of government affairs for the Georgia Ports Authority since 2003. He is a proud alumnus of Wake Forest University and a member of Metro Savannah Rotary Club and a graduate of Leadership Savannah. He serves as the chairman of the Leadership Southeast Georgia and the Effingham College and Career Academy, as well as the first vice president of the Propeller Club of Savannah. Please welcome Lee Beckman.
Well, Mike promised you 5 outstanding speakers. I'm your 6th speaker today, so sorry about that. No, we're very excited. We're in a great space here at the Port of Savannah. I know we got a lot of bankers in the room. How many of you guys would take an investment that averages 4.5% over a 10-year period right now? That's a really good investment, right? That's what the Savannah Port Authority has been, or the Georgia Ports Authority has been averaging. For the past 10 years, we're the fastest growing port in the nation, 4.5% compounded annual growth rate. For the next 10 years, we're expecting 3.7% compounded annual growth rate. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but we're about 4.3 million containers per year right now, and we're expecting to be upwards of 6 in 10 years. So we at the Port Authority are investing. We're investing heavily. Over the next 10 years, we plan to spend about $2.5 billion on our facilities to accommodate the growth that we expect to see coming here. That's a lot of cargo. That's a lot of opportunity. We have a lot of small businesses that serve us, whether they are independent owner-operators, truck drivers that own their own trucks, or trucking companies, local warehousers that certainly are small businesses that are full. I mean, ask Rhett, the 3.5% vacancy rate, they can't build warehouses fast enough in Savannah. There's a lot of opportunity for growth there as well. We've got small businesses like Rural Joiner who are moving their cargo through us. Jerry's Antiques on Bay Street, they're moving their cargo through us, and they're finding access to the world because of their access to our ports here in Savannah and in Brunswick. We like to serve these communities. We have all kinds of opportunities in the area. How many people in here in this room, just by a show of hands, wake up each morning and go to work to help small businesses turn them into large businesses? It's a lot of support in here, right? There's a lot of people out here. Our job at the Port Authority is to make small businesses grow into large businesses. Yes, we serve big box retailers, but we serve a lot of small businesses throughout the state, whether they're doing retail, like Rural at 24E, or whether they're doing agriculture, or whether they're doing industrial, or whether they work for one of those big companies out there. So I really appreciate those opportunities. We are the only port, one of only 2 ports in the nation that has a customer service center. So if you are a new business that's not moved cargo before, and you're having problems figuring out what's going on, you can call our customer relations center, and they will help you figure out what's wrong with your cargo. And so, we are a port that serves, we are a port that provides service, and we're excited for the future. So I'm happy to be here and answer any questions you may have, and look forward to the discussion today. Thank you all.
So that 3.5% growth that Lee talked about doesn't seem like very much to some people, but by 2028, the Georgia Ports Authority will double its present size. Double its present size. So if you're looking for opportunity, the opportunity is there. So our next speaker is going to be is Tony O'Reilly. He is the president of the Small Business Assistance Corporation, and he's going to speak about small business and your access to capital. In his role at the SBAC, Tony manages and develops small business support programs for 53 counties in southeast Georgia, including the city of Savannah and 6 counties in the South Carolina Lowcountry. And please remember, the Savannah River is the river that unites us. It's not the river that divides us. So 6 counties in South Carolina's Lowcountry. Prior to work with the SBAC, Tony held similar positions in San Diego and in Long Beach, California. And he was responsible for small business development initiatives in Washington, D.C. We're very pleased to welcome Tony O'Reilly.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Happy Small Business Week. Excuse me. We do this, for the last 7 years here. This is now the Small Business Week acknowledgement event, and I'm very pleased to be here. SBAC is a community development financial institution that deploys SBA 504 loan programs, the SBA Community Advantage Program, SBA microloans, that's $50,000 or less for companies with 5 or less employees. We do USDA, we use USDA products. We manage the City of Savannah Small Business Development Loan Program, who is sponsors our organization. Also, we do the Savannah Regional Capital Fund, which is a consortium of 4 banks, soon to be 3, I guess. It was the BB&T and Son. I don't know what the name of the new bank is going to be, but we manage their portfolio of business loans. We create better access to capital as an alternative or by partnering with our conventional financing banks. Financing is available to all sectors, all demographics. Depending on the nature of the commercial project, our loans can range from $2,500 to $5.5 million. We're a CDFI. Nationwide, we account for 5% of the business loans in the country. We're real small potatoes because the banks have all the money, let me tell you. So we're interested in what they're doing. So as a result, I pulled the results of the latest 2019 Small Business Credit Survey Report by employer firms that has been released by the 12 Federal Reserve banks just this last May. And it says that our small businesses are healthy and optimistic about the future. In the survey, the majority of firms reported increased revenues. More than 1/3 reported adding employees. Also, the majority of respondents, though, say that they have experienced increased input costs, in other words, costs of doing business, during 2018. But all in all, this optimism, coupled with revenue growth and rising costs, small businesses are applying for credit to satisfy their need for cash. Now, if you want to see the whole report and all that stuff, you can go to our website, www.sbacsav.com, and download the full report. While you're at it, you might as well register for free, a $100 gift certificate to one of our clients' restaurants, and have a great meal. What the heck? Well, the key findings related to access include. Let me tick off a couple of things for you so I give you a picture, a framework. Why businesses are applying for credit. Number 1 is to pursue new opportunities, acquire business assets, refinance existing debt, and to replace equipment or other capital assets. So how much are small businesses applying for? 76% of the loan applications were for less than $250,000. 57% were for less than $100,000. Of those applying for credit, 48% received the amount that they wanted. So the reason for the loan declines or the shortfalls, because sometimes you just don't get what you ask for, number one, low personal or business credit score. Too much debt already. In other words, you've borrowed too much money. Insufficient collateral. Classified, now that you can drop into what they call a startup, that's 5 years. So you're classified as a startup. Or you've had weak historical profitability. 53% of the owners tried to obtain term loans, in other words, long loans over 5 years. 42% applied for lines of credit. Equipment loans came in third at 17%. The share of applicants who sought loans in 2018 from large banks declined to 49% from 51% in 2016. Small banks captured 44%, down from 47% in 2016. 32% of small businesses applied to an online lender. That's up from 19% in 2016. The approval rate for online lenders is 82% versus 58% at large banks and 71% at small banks. The only source to approve more loans than were community development financial institutions with an 88% approval rate. But turning to a little locally here, among the 20 plus traditional lenders and banking institutions in our marketplace, there is aggressive competition to make loans to the most credit-worthy businesses. I mean, it's wicked. The risk-tolerant nature of online lenders and disruption caused by the arrival of digital banking is helping to keep the delivery costs, or delivering money, low, and competition fierce. Despite the recent hikes in the cost of capital of banks, the Fed announcement of a patient view concerning future rate hikes has added a measure of stability for small business borrowers. Also, on the upside, there is better access to credit for medium risk small business borrowers because of rising real estate values in our area. Most lenders prefer to collateralize long-term loans with residential and commercial property equity. SBAC, for us, we've experienced an increase in applications. We anticipate more loans due to new business starts, expansions, and refinancing activity through the year. 2018, we processed and approved over 60 loans with a total of $9.6 million. Loans for the total capital in those projects went to $23.5 million. Year to date in 2019, we currently have projects in process totaling $54.8 million. Small businesses, in spite of facing rising labor costs in the service and retail sectors because of increased competition for quality employees in a tight labor market, they are still creating jobs. Our approved loans in 2019 are projected to develop over 200 employment opportunities. Quality business startups are becoming a more significant portion of our loan applicant pool. The trend has remained consistent in the last 5 years. During the previous 5 years, SBAC has funded 202 new businesses. These include restaurants, hotels, manufacturers, retailers. Business starts accounted for 43% of our approved loans in 2018. So summing it up, access to capital will not be an obstacle to success for your most credit-worthy small businesses. At the same time, medium-risk entrepreneurs wanting to finance a new business or grow their business or start a fledgling enterprise can find whole or partial financing in the alternative lender market, which includes SBAC. I look forward to any questions you might have when we go to panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our fourth presentation is on technology trends, and it will be presented by Gary Sanchez, the Regional Director of External Affairs for AT&T. Gary accepted his current position with AT&T in 2012. He has over a decade of experience in the telecommunications industry and nearly 2 decades of experience in external affairs profession to his current position. As a regional director for AT&T, Gary works closely with community leaders and policymakers to help meet the company's objective of bringing the best new technology to customers. Please welcome Gary Sanchez.
Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to speak to you this morning. As I was listening to our other panelists this morning, I was thinking about AT&T, which is not a small business. However, 140 years ago, or thereabouts, it was. And just like many of you, it started out with somebody's idea. Somebody had an idea to do something a little differently, to change the way we communicate, to change the way that how we move and talk with each other. So it's a pleasure to be here this morning. I wanted to go just step back a little bit. We hear so much, well, at least I hear a lot, about... Better? Okay. All right. So we hear a lot about broadband, and we hear a lot about gigabit speeds, and we hear all this information about networking and things like that that maybe we don't quite understand all the way. So I wanted to step back just a moment and talk a little bit about broadband. Broadband is basically your internet connection. That's all it is. And it started out with DSL, that was through copper, and it was offered by companies like AT&T, your phone companies. Nowadays, you've got fiber, which is either telecom companies or the cable companies, as well as coaxial cable, which is usually the cable companies, and that's how that's transmitted. Now, you also have wireless and satellite. And we'll talk briefly about wireless here in a moment. But what we're seeing is that in the past, we thought about telecommunications as being one type of communication through one type of medium, meaning copper. Nowadays, it's a mixture. So many of us have cable and fiber and wireless. Some of us have wireless only, and it's a matter of what you need and how you use that technology. And I want to talk a little bit about data speeds. We hear about gigabit speed all the time. Everybody wants gigabit speed, 1,000 megabits per second speed. The interesting part is that not all of us need gigabit speed. It's kind of like you're 16-year-old and you go, I don't think I want to buy them a 700 horsepower car to start out with. Yeah, it goes really fast, but my 16-year-old doesn't need a really, really fast car. So just to kind of give you some ideas, I learned recently that the speed that it takes to stream video is 10 megabits per second speed. A consistent 10 megabit per second speed is all that you need to stream video. FaceTime and Skype, 1 megabit per second. So the speeds are a lot different than what we think we need many times. Now, I'm not saying that there's not a need for greater speed or that some companies don't need 1 gigabyte, 10 gigabyte, or even faster speeds than that. But it's very important as a small business leader to know, what do I really need? And how much am I willing to pay for it? In fact, in AT&T markets where we have fiber that has up to gigabit speeds, many times, most of those customers will opt for the 100 megabit speed rather than the gigabit speed, because the difference in speed and the difference in cost loses its value. So they don't gain the value from the extra money they're spending. An interesting fact about the internet, over 75% of the internet traffic is now video. So that tells you a little bit about how we use that internet now. Oh, and also with the internet traffic, no other category of internet traffic is greater than 10%. So it's video mostly, and then everything else is way down. So a little bit about how our communications have changed in Georgia. And this is from a study that compared 2000 to 2016. We saw 292% increase in wireless subscribers, 5,440% increase in broadband subscribers, And at the same time, a 68% decrease in those that were using regular phones only. And in 2016, we crossed the 50% mark of wireless households. And those are houses that have no cables going into them at all. One of the things that we are doing to help meet the growth in data on our wireless networks is small cells. In places like Savannah, it's more about the density than it is about coverage. And in fact, we have already about 25 small cells already deployed in Savannah, and there's more coming this year. The small cells allow us to handle the density now, but also builds a platform to use 5G coming up soon. Small cells have a much smaller range, from 250 feet to about 1,200 feet, and they're usually about 30 feet in the air. A little bit about what's coming up now. Accenture did a study about 5G and what's coming in the next 7 years. Savannah, they found, is going to have almost 1,400 new jobs with 5G, with a 5G economy. Network investment of 120 million and GDP growth of about 223 million. That's a 2017 study from Accenture. But that's just a brief update. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate your listening. Thank you.
So it's great to hear that. I think the only thing that we can count on, the only constant, is going to be change. So change from that digital device in your pocket that has more computing power than the first space capsule that went to the moon, changes in how you communicate. You know, when I grew up in the construction business, we used yellow line pads, and the last guy I worked for said, "I'll never get a computer." And, you know, look at today, I'm carrying a computer in my pocket. So thank you very much, Gary. Our last speaker before the roundtable is going to be Dean Burnett. And last but certainly not least, sir, we appreciate you. Dean is the current president of the Georgia Association of Business Brokers. He's a member of the Georgia Real Estate Commission. He's on the Educational Advisory Board there. Founded in 2009, Best Business Brokers helps people buy and sell businesses and commercial real estate in Georgia and South Carolina. Their brokers specialize in different industries, including manufacturing, business technology, and logistics-related business ventures, valued between $1 million and $30 million. B3 also handles industrial and commercial real estate. Please welcome Dean Burnett.
What a great time to be in Savannah, GA, home of the Girl Scouts. As Mr. Sanchez was saying, I was thinking back in key stories of the facsimile machine that came along since we've been in business, and the dial-up internet, and seeing the first live video where the guys are moving about every 2 seconds. We've come a long way. We certainly have. And it's just such a great time to be in Savannah. I wanted to just give you a brief coverage of what's happening in small business in the Savannah area, what we're seeing in 2019. And to start out with, the city of Savannah issued 350 new business licenses in 2017. In 2018, they topped that at 381. In the first quarter of 2019, they've already issued 107 new business licenses. We live in a great time and a great place to do business. So what's it like being a small business owner in 2019? With 78% of small businesses reporting profits, it's not surprising that current business owners, on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the happiest, rated their happiness at an average of 8. 53% of business owners surveyed rank their happiness at 9 or above. And small business owners aren't just happy in their roles, they're also confident in the state of small business in today's political climate. Some of the top challenges for small business owners in 2019. It's a tight labor market. While the 49-year low in the American unemployment rate does bring good benefits to our economy, it also creates unique challenges for small business owners. Similarly to the prior year, the majority of small business owners considered a lack of capital or cash flow as one of their major challenges. And that was followed closely behind with trouble with marketing and advertising, time management. Who doesn't have that issue? It's a big challenge for all of us, and administration work. Despite the challenges of time management and administrative efforts, only 10% of small business owners outsource bookkeeping. 17% outsource their accounting to a CPA. 15% outsource payroll. And while many businesses outsource at least one service, there may be more room for small business owners to mitigate their challenges with thoughtfully outplaced business services. And so, who are the business owners in 2019? While 2018 business news has focused on Generation Z beginning to enter the workforce and millennials continuing to disrupt industries with ambitious startups, small business continues to be ruled by baby boomers. 57% of small business owners surveyed were over the age of 50, a small increase year over year. The majority of small business owners are profitable. Regardless of education, there's very little difference between the levels of education, with all the segments showing profitability within a few points of the 70% average. Higher education doesn't predicate entrepreneurial success, as demonstrated by the business owners survey. So what is motivating people to buy and start businesses in 2019? Very little change through the years, from year to year. Most business owners choose to go into business for themselves because they were ready to be their own boss or pursue their own passion. The top 5 industries in small business in 2019. The majority of small business owners report their businesses are profitable, with a 6% increase from the previous year. The 37% plurality of these businesses are well-established entities with experienced owners, having been in operation for over a decade. I pause for effect here. Half of the profitable businesses surveyed in 2018 were purchased as independent businesses already in operation, while the next largest segment was independent startup businesses at 39%. The top 5 businesses in 2019, health, beauty, and fitness businesses are majorly on the rise. I saw that yesterday at a meeting I was at. 2018 brought a notable increase in health, beauty, and fitness businesses such as wellness spas, salons, and gyms. It's possible the 34% increase in these industries can be attributed to the boom of consumers becoming more wellness conscious and knowledgeable via social media. While not as dramatic, there was also a rise in the food businesses and restaurants at a 14% increase, keeping it as the second most populous industry for small business ownership. Business services has continued to reign as the largest segment. At 11%, home services overtook automotive businesses this year, edging automotive out of the 5th spot in the top 5 industries for 2018. The future is very bright for us in Savannah. I'm so glad to be here at this time and in this place. As the economy continues to thrive, consumer spending keeps rising, aspiring small business owners should act now. Learning more about available financing options and pursuing funding is an excellent way of starting your entrepreneurial journey. The majority of entrepreneurs report high levels of happiness and confidence in the state of small business. Current small business owners may save time, energy, and money by outsourcing their biggest business service challenges, such as bookkeeping and marketing. One thing remains true year over year. The American entrepreneur works hard and cares passionately about their small business, with a desire to expand and succeed, fueling their daily lives. Most business plans involve growth, continuous growth, of the business, sometimes through the acquisition of other businesses. Whether you are a small business owner or an aspiring entrepreneur, there are so many opportunities to learn something new, grow your business and your mindset this week and all throughout the year, thankfully to the resources we have in our Savannah business community. Thank you.
So let's have a round of applause for all of our speakers. And I do want to apologize to all of you for being an intimidating presence to your left when the red flag went up. But we do respect your time and we do thank you for coming. What we'd like to do now is start the roundtable discussion with our speakers. Thank you to those of you who have texted some questions in. And also, if you do want to write questions onto those index cards, if you hold them up, we'll come by and pick up your questions. Our moderator for our roundtable discussion is going to be Dr. Michael Toma. He is the Callaway Professor of Economics at Georgia Southern University, and he is the director at Georgia Southern University Center for Business, Analytics, and Economic Research. He has been with the Armstrong University, now the Georgia Southern University Armstrong campus, for 21 years. Dr. Toma?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back here now at our 7th State of Small Business Summit here, so to speak. So it's great to hear a lot of the good things that our speakers have shared with us. I'm not sure about you, but I'm pretty sure my head's about to explode based on all the things that we've heard so far. I have some questions that have been kind of percolating up in my mind as our speakers have been doing their thing. But how do you want to do this? Do you want to take? I don't want to step on anybody's toes out there. So.
Actually, Dr. Toma, can you recap what is the feeling of the state of small business? Let's start with that.
So what I'm hearing is that things are good out there from a wide variety, just absorbing what we're hearing from our different perspectives of our panelists up here, that things are going very well, that all the cylinders are hitting and sparking and things look really good. In some senses, when we talk about an economy that overheats, I'm just wondering, if you recall a phrase, was a Federal Reserve chairman, 2 or 3 Federal Reserve chairmen ago about irrational exuberance? Are we getting overly confident in our regional economy? Where are we on that? Are lending standards changing? How are land prices affecting us? How are our increased cost of labor affecting us in a hot economy? So I guess in one sense, what I'd like to kind of pose to all the panelists is, are we getting overconfident? Are we getting to the point where maybe we're getting to the point where we just need to be thinking about where our next steps are for us in a very rational, not irrationally exuberant, but in a very rational perspective? Are we starting to overheat?
I keep hearing there's going to be a recession. I mean, how many of you have heard that? Yeah. What do you say?
There's one out there. It's not going to happen next week or next year. I mean, if we were able to predict recessions very accurately, we would be able to avoid them, wouldn't we? I think most economists are downplaying the role, the potential for a recession in 2019. I think more folks are thinking about something more along the lines of, say, maybe late 2020 or so, or early 2021. There's a recession out there.
Do you think it's going to be as bad as 2008?
Not at all. The Great Recession, that was a result of irrational exuberance and overinvestment in housing and related fields. So that's, one respect, that's why I'm curious about where our panelists are, or where your sense is as a small business owner is about where we are in that point of our operation. Are we getting too close to becoming overly optimistic? Are we asking for more loans than we need? Are we asking for more internet capacity than we might otherwise need. So that's kind of where I'm thinking, that's kind of where the question comes into mind. The recession is out there, maybe 2020 or 2021. Recessions don't naturally die on their own just because they're old, right? An old age recession, that's what some folks are characterizing as the next one is going to be. It would be relatively mild, but old age in and of itself is not going to cause a recession. Just because we have a very long business expansion, that doesn't necessarily imply it will end. But what happens along the way as those business expansions continue is that the leanness that where you were required to operate under when you came out of the last recession, some of the incentive to be as lean and as mean as you possibly can be and efficient as possibly you can be tends to get pushed aside or downplayed a little bit. You hire an extra layer of management. You take on somebody that you hope the growth for the company will materialize when you hire that person. So that's an idea that is kind of built in, that our efficiency kind of tends to dip down or tends to wane a little bit as the expansion becomes longer and longer and longer, because the incentive to be very efficient in a post-recession, that pain, right, tends to fade through time.
Good. Thank you, Joe.
All right. So I got one comment that says, so I can cut my home internet back to as slow as 10 megabytes per second and still stream Netflix. Ching! So nothing else you can save on your cable bill from coming here today. But, we do have a great three-legged stool here in Savannah with the hospitality industry, the Georgia ports, and our military. So in my opinion, which is worth very little, we have a great forecast for at least the next 2 years. So, we see a lot of growth. We see the growth in the ports, and we see the growth in the ports, and also the 13.5 million visitors that come to Savannah every year to continue to grow the area. Now, one of the questions that we had is, what are we doing about a living wage for the hospitality workers? So that's a good question. So if anyone on the panel would like to try to address that, or Dr. Toma, we'd be happy to hear from you too.
In a general context, when we have a very tight labor market, you'll start to see those wage rates start to rise just as from market pressure. That does seem to be emerging as one of the trends with some of the labor force data that I'm looking at, is that wage rates are beginning to perk up a little bit, maybe on the order of 2.5% to 3% growth on an over-the-year basis. I'm not sure that 2 or 3 percentage points of growth on an annual basis is going to address a more fundamental underlying issue with livable wages. Maybe our panelists have additional insight on that.
So I've got a question here. This one's probably going to be for Rhett. Logistically in Savannah, where do you see the biggest areas for expansion happening?
That's a great question, and the areas I talked about earlier are two areas for high-density multifamily. They're under basically guidelines. We talk about the Eastern Wharf, and we talk about Canal District. So those are under some guidelines for development that will be really our downtown. The development that I see for industrial or residential is on our west side. Pooler continues to grow like crazy. The office market out there is doing pretty well. They have a limited amount of it, but also institutional with St. Joe's, strong medical growth out there. Apartments, Pooler's got a very strategic growth plan now, see more residential. And up Highway 21, those areas in Effingham County and Bryan County. So those are the areas that basically I see that are supported by jobs and the economy.
I think, excuse me, this is, I think, a follow-up question for both Rhett and Lee. As we look west, should we now be thinking about beyond Pooler? Should we be thinking about West Chatham? Should we be thinking about Effingham County in the broader regional context? Where is the land that folks are going to start to buy for industrial and warehousing as we double our capacity over the next 10 years?
I remember one area with the apartment market was going strong before the recession, and it kind of went away. Now we're back to where we were with the apartment demand. But some of those areas for residential growth is the new Hampstead area out 204. All we have to do is listen to the news to see residents really opposed to anything that has to do with 18-wheelers coming through or close to their neighborhood. So that's pushing industrial development further to the west side. There are areas of growth cooler
Yes, definitely. We're going to be looking further out than just Chatham County. You look at the four-county region, between Effingham, Bryan, Chatham, and Liberty, and you're looking at 44,000 people who are working because of or with the ports. And as you move further west on 16, and north and south on I-95, you're going to start to see more development in that way associated with us, whether it's distribution centers or manufacturing facilities. Land obviously gets cheaper the further away you get from the port, and so there's some benefits to that as well for folks.
Right, and also there are some infrastructure improvements coming in Old River Road up in Effingham. It's going to add some economic growth up to there. And also the Georgia International Trade Center, I believe it's called GITSE, at Old Augusta Road and Highway 21 is 7 million square feet of planned warehouse development. And that project, I think 800 acres of that is in Effingham County and 120 acres of that is in Chatham County. So you are seeing the growth in that. The first speculative buildings, they are pouring the foundation as we speak. So again, the ports is going to be a great driver of growth for this area. All right, another question from the field is there any programs in Savannah that assist minority small business owners to grow their businesses? And I'm standing right back here with the Small Business Development Center, and I'd encourage you guys to come back and talk to Miss Liz and Miss Becky about how you can grow your business, and also come up and talk to the guys from SCORE. I mean, they are there to serve you. Their only purpose is to mentor you. So if you have questions, please, would all the SCORE people with SCORE today stand up right now so everyone can take a good look at you guys? And, and I apologize, and of course, one lovely young lady. But, they're there for you. The Small Business Development Center is there for you. Tony O'Reilly is there for you. So come on up after this program and ask your specific question.
Joe, I would add to that as a community development financial institution of the Department of Treasury, we're a nonprofit lender, and our nonprofit mission, if you will, is to undertake creating access to capital for those that might not be otherwise available from our traditional lenders, either for policy, for whatever reasons. And we have 13 different loan products. We feel that all demographic groups are there to be addressed. Startups, if you have issues around expansion, that the bank can only do part of it. There are programs that fill the gap. If you cannot get a loan because of all variety of reasons that a traditional institution won't make you that loan, a CDFI or SBAC will take a look at what can we do. It's a approach that says, how can we make the loan happen? Saying no is always tough, but sometimes it's the right decision or the right advice. We do a lot of credit repair. People do get in trouble. We talked about the online lenders. Folks are signing up for speed, for no collateral loans, cash advances, those kinds of things. And so what we're seeing more is we're seeing more repair stuff that we take and term out as best we can. So there is a lot of programs out there for startups, minority business, women-owned business, veteran-owned businesses, and we're proud to be part of that market.
Thank you, Tony. Does anybody know about the economic zones that small businesses can move into and get a grant or?
There's no grants.
No grant. All right. Do you have cheaper real estate or something? It's kind of like Starling.
Tax advantages.
Tax advantages. I mean,
opportunities on it.
Opportunity zone. Do you know about the opportunities? What is that?
I'm not an expert. I can give you just an overview. If there's a CPA here, probably can enlighten it. But opportunity zones they're still being refined. I should say they have the basic structure out, but an opportunity zone is identified as certain areas. Like the opportunity zones that we have right now are around Savannah Mall, out West Bay Street, East President Street, are some of the areas I think about. And you can go online and find these opportunity zones. And without Highway 17 in South Carolina, is the closest one in South Carolina. But what they basically do is give the biggest benefit is for investors. They're at a 1031 exchange, sell a piece of property, and want to invest it, they can invest it in an opportunity zone and avoid paying capital gains taxes and really not change their basis, what I understand, for 10 years. And so these, the big investment groups or whatever, even small investors, will sell property and invest in an opportunity zone, which generally is a place where new construction, new businesses gives them a chance to go in there and get to reflect the benefits to that investor from that. There's a lot more to it, and some areas are being able to put that together with grants also to kind of have an overall picture. So that is just a very brief overview, but it's really something worth looking into for small businesses.
Does anybody have additional information about opportunity zones?
Good morning, I'm Carl Bythrow. I'm Business Development Coordinator for the City of Savannah. And one of my responsibilities is to oversee the opportunities in various zones. We have enterprise zones along Lombard Avenue, along Martin Luther King and Montgomery. And these zones provide real estate tax benefits to developers or businesses that move in with viable jobs. The Waters Avenue zone stretches from Victor Drive to Beacon Street. Montgomery MLK stretches from approximately Jones all the way up to
They are being well.
over Lane zone, we have opportunity zones as just described.
I would care.
We also have state opportunity zones where you employ people who get $3,500
And that they're loosening up.
state tax
Now, is it
credit.
coming full circle?
And
Is it
if
cause
you
right
all
now
want
they're
to
is that
learn more about this, you can look at Savannah
but
States,
it can be.
it's
But
GIS,
there's going to be
Savannah
consolidation
GIS,
coming in.
and click on the enterprise
So,
zone
the
maps,
non-lenders
and it maps all these various
secure
areas
it,
that we have.
And so it's
If you have any
it's
questions,
making
you can call our office at the office.
it's more flexible now. There's no doubt about it now.
And
Is
ask
it
Carl,
Is it
and
poison?
I'll be happy to discuss it with you all.
I don't think.
If you'd like, and give you
Yeah.
more.
Thank you.
We'll make sure that Carl's information is in that PDF that's going to be available to all of you in the future. Marjorie will get that up on the school website.
So I was just wondering if we could circle back to the context of loan of access to capital in the banking industry, and with increased competition for loans among our institutions that make loans. If that made any sense, I'm going to turn it over to somebody who knows more about it than I do and can talk more intelligently about it. Is there a point of concern with respect to lending standards in a hot economy where financial institutions are competing for loans?
We've come to learn that yes, you need to be careful when the banks start opening up the vaults and just lending it out there, and then selling it down the road, and they're not good quality loans. Right now, you are seeing a lot of pressure. I mean, there's a lot of disruption going on in the financing world. All the way, there's the online lenders, obviously, and they are very tolerant of risk. They have they will accept a strong borrower 93% of the time. A conventional bank may do it like 70% of the time. But that's inching up for that. That is growing. It was down. It was at 60. So it is true that lending standards are being relaxed. Competition is forcing pricing or stabilizing pricing on business loans. I would say that over time, as there will be more consolidations of banks, and if they don't go too far on the deregulation side, I think the banks are still in good shape in terms of stress, and all that, and their portfolios are good. The government has created a layer of lenders out there, CDFIs, that are actually a new player in the marketplace, and that is for your higher risk stuff. Part of that is subsidized lending, and that risk should reside there. I would say that if the deregulation doesn't go overboard, we should be okay for the next couple of years.
I think Chamber of Commerce may have.
Okay, so if you go to the Savannah Area Chamber of Commerce and look for the Economic Outlook Forecast, I think you can download that. So there are a bunch of resources available. If we can help you in any way to get connected to those resources, please reach out. Once again, a PDF of everyone's presentation will be available through the SCORE website if you want to check back in with that. And that now concludes our 7th annual State of Small Business in Chatham County Symposium. Once again, I'd like to thank our presenting sponsors, Best Business Brokers and Wells Fargo. If you would have one more round of applause for them. And I also want to thank all of you for coming. If you don't know the people at your table or the people next to you, if you would take a moment to introduce yourself and see if there's some information that you can share. And we look forward to seeing you again next year.
Thank you.